Hello and welcome to the Northern Myths podcast, where we explore the myths and legends of Northern Europe from an archetypal perspective. I'm Luke DeWolf.
And I'm Dan Larrabee.
We're back. We're officially back. The Northern Myths podcast is relaunching. I gotta say, Dan, I'm super excited.
Yeah, that doesn't. I'm almost beside myself with happiness. This is amazing. I couldn't be happier to be back.
Yeah, and it's been about a year since we last released an episode. A lot's happened. There were definitely reasons for why we took a break, and we'll get into that a little bit. But today we're really excited to tell you about all the exciting plans we have coming up, and we hope to have you along as we get back into the swing of things.
Yeah, it's going to be great. We've got a lot of exciting things planned. We're going to be diving into things even deeper than before. And we've actually got a few new toys that we've been working with to make everything even better.
Exactly. And before we dive into that really quickly here, if you want to support our show, the best way you can do that is on our Patreon. You'll find the link below in the description. And if you'd like to connect with us, all our social media info is in the description as well. And a quick shout out to our friends at Grimfrost. They've been really good partners with us for a little while here, and they're the best source for authentic Viking products and modern apparel inspired by the Vikings and Norse mythology. We're huge fans, actually wearing their stuff right now. So go to grimfrost.com to check them out and join the horde. Okay, so I think now we can get into really our plans, and this is kind of the exciting part.
Absolutely. So I will say once again, for the people in the back, we are officially back. We're officially relaunching. It has been it's maybe been a little longer than a year since we've released an episode. We didn't necessarily stop looking into this kind of stuff, though. I know I've been reading lots. I know you've been reading lots, and just absorbing information. But we've also been living life, and funnily enough, a lot of the things that we read about in the myths kind of bled over into life. And I think that just goes to show you that there is something real about the myths that is worth looking at and learning about, so that you can find your own way in your own life. In some ways, instead of finding the myth that we were living, the myth found us.
That's a really good way to put it, actually, Dan. And the thing is, I do take responsibility myself for our hiatus. Unfortunately, a couple of things happened to me in May of 2019 that one was really good, one was really bad. There was a death in the family, and I won't get into that anymore. But that put me in not a great place to be able to record. And at the same time, this part Dan has already shared. I got a new job, and it's been really good, but really busy. I've had to learn a lot, and it took a lot of my time for a really long time. So unfortunately, I had to step away, and it's taken me a long time to really get back into the swing of things. I didn't actually want to leave it this long, but as soon as I was away from it for more than a couple of months, it became really, really hard to feel like I was ready to talk about this stuff again and to really make a contribution anymore. So appreciate everyone bearing with me, and I'm excited to get back into it.
Plus, at the end of the day, it's hard to find the myth you're living if you can't pay the rent. So you definitely have to take care of real life stuff. So yeah, it makes sense.
Appreciate that, Dan. Thanks, buddy. Thanks for sticking with
me.
No worries. Okay, so now on to all the fun things. So first of all, if you're watching on YouTube, you can tell that things are a little bit different for us now. We're in a bit of a different setup, actually. Our studio is totally revamped. We've invested in a few things that we're hoping is going to make the show even better. So thank you to everyone who supported the show last year. That actually enabled us to make a couple of really good upgrades. And now I think the show is going to sound and look better than ever. And in terms of what's coming up, we've got some really exciting things on the go. You want to take us through that, Dan?
Well, we're going to be starting with some new introductory episodes. Uh, we realized that we never really talked about what the eddas are in and of themselves. We talked a little bit about the Kalevala, but we're going to go into it more, going to really set the stage so that when we get back into it, and we are getting back into the Kalevala for sure, everyone's sort of going to have that foundation of knowledge that they're going to have the context for these stories, and we won't have to necessarily like go into the great depth of detail that we had before when explaining like the history of a certain passage. It didn't really affect what was going on in the story itself.
Exactly, and kind of on that note as well, we're going to do an official introduction to the Northern Myths podcast because we never did that either. We kind of just dived right in with our first episode into the Voluspa, and we didn't really explain some of the motivations for the show, a lot of the big inspirations. And I think that's going to be really beneficial again, so everyone has that foundation. For longtime listeners of the show, it may seem like we're covering old ground, but these introductory episodes are going to help us get back into it. So we think that's going to help us gain some momentum and get back into the swing of things a lot better.
Yeah, in a lot of ways, these introductory episodes are for us so that we can remind ourselves of how to do this kind of thing.
Exactly. But on to, so first of all, Dan has already mentioned we are going to be continuing with our series on the Kalevala. We left it off at Kalevala Runo 9, which is kind of right in the middle of one of the first major story cycles of the Kalevala. So we're going to finish that off and continue where we left off on the Kalevala. So that's really exciting. We're really excited to get back into that one. But on the other side of things, the Poetic Edda, we kind of ended in an interesting place there. It's kind of fitting, I think, that the Lay of Rig was kind of where we stopped because that's always been a really big story for the both of us that we really find important and valuable. And what remains in the Poetic Edda, they're a little bit less well-known stories. So what we actually think is going to be the best way to get back into covering the Poetic Edda is we're going to take a step back and we are going to go through the Voluspa again, brand new. It's going to be longer this time, longer than the 3 episodes that we did that were all something like 3 hours each. But believe it or not, we're gonna go even deeper into this. Those were our first episodes, our very first ones. So we've learned a lot since then. We've got a lot better at podcasting since then. And essentially we're going to go through those episodes anew and dig even deeper this time. And it's likely going to be more episodes, but slightly shorter. So and by the way, that's something that probably is going to change with the show. Kind of moving forward here is we think it's going to be a little bit easier to manage slightly shorter episodes than we did before. We're probably not going over 2 hours very often anymore.
Yeah, that's right. We're still going to cover the same amount probably, but we'll put it into smaller chunks. And I know for myself when I'm listening to podcasts, I enjoy listening to long podcasts, but there is definitely there can be like too long. So we're going to try and find that happy medium where you get something worthwhile and you're able to remember it, and then for the next episode it's there, but yeah, we're not going to be like cutting back on the quality of content, just the size of chunks that we put it out in.
Exactly, and I think you got it right. I think it's going to help us to maintain and get even better with the quality of the show in general. So that's just something that's going to be changing here. So just to recap a little bit, we're continuing with the Kalevala. We're going to be redoing the Voluspa series kind of as a series of its own. And then we're going to be continuing our interviews. We've got a lot of good folks that we're hoping to get on the show, returning guests, some new ones. But we're really excited about our first episode back. Our first proper episode back is going to be an interview with the great Dr. Jackson Crawford.
If you've been with us for a while, you know that we have been using his work as our foundation. We're reading his translations of the Poetic Edda, and his Havamal translation. When we do the Saga of the Volsungs, it'll be his translation. I believe he's got one about Ragnar Lothbrok as well, right? So again, when we get to that, and we will, it'll be his work that we're using. We've actually got a great relationship with Dr. Jackson Crawford and Hackett Publishing, and we can't thank them enough, because they've actually been with us through everything. And then even in the hiatus, they messaged us a few times, and they were quite happy to hear that we were back. So yeah, all the thanks to them.
Absolutely. So we actually recorded that interview a few days ago now at the release of this episode, and so we're really excited to have this coming out. It's only going to be a few days from now, from the release of this episode. So I think we're starting off strong with an interview from, honestly, one of our favorite people.
Oh, no doubt. And this isn't just because he's letting us use his work, but he's a cool guy. Like, he's a real life cowboy, and he has this incredible knowledge of like Norse history. So it's kind of crazy. And then he does cool things like consulting on video games for historical accuracy and that kind of thing. So he's just a really, really neat person. As well, he's got an amazing YouTube channel, which we always link to, and it's second to none as far as resources go for learning about this kind of thing. Like, it's unbelievable the stuff that he puts out for free.
Absolutely. I can't say enough good things about him, his work, his YouTube channel. So really excited to have this interview coming out in a few days. And yeah, huge thank you and big shout out to Dr. Crawford and to Hackett Publishing.
And you can actually get his books on grimfrost.com.
That's true as well. It all connects, huh? That's great. So I think that really is the plan for us, and we're looking forward to getting this going. That is about all we have for today. That's our relaunch, the big news. So thanks again for tuning in and for joining us along this journey, bearing with us in the hiatus if you were a fan of the show before. And I think that's about all we have. So I think we'll close again. Just a reminder of the best way you can support us is definitely our Patreon. We're going to be reworking our Patreon a little bit, see if we can do a little bit better there, offer a little bit more if you want to support us. But at a minimum, for everyone, there'll be regular updates from the show, behind the scenes, little things like that, and early access to our episodes at $5 per episode and above. So that's at a bare minimum, those aren't going to change. And if you'd like to connect with us, we're on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Links to our pages are in the description. You can also email us at northernmythspodcast@gmail.com if you're not on any of those social media sites or anything like that. And of course, a big shout out to our friends at Grimfrost. They really are our favorite shop and everything like that. So we're happy to give them a little shout out and everything like that. Our favorite source for authentic Viking products and apparel inspired by the Vikings and Norse mythology. So they're really cool. Check out their website, grimfrost.com. There's really something for everyone if you're a fan of our show. So yeah, check them out. Join the horde. And with that, I think that's it, unless you have anything to add, Dan.
Well, I think there's one thing left to add, and that's to say thank you for joining us as we explore these myths and legends, and we hope that you find the myth that you're living. This has been the Northern Myths Podcast.